the so-called Project Blue was immediately marked by a lack of transparency, with the final user hidden and public officials bound by non-disclosure agreements. So again, the community leading the ultimately successful 7-week-long grassroots movement against Amazon did not even know who was building the massive data center until the end of July.
It's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground,
covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, this is Ashley Bishop with Status Coup. On Wednesday, the city of Tucson voted against Amazon's proposal to build a 290-acre water-guzzling data center. This win against the behemoth that is Amazon was made possible by a grassroots movement before the community even knew who was behind the project. This is from More Perfect Union, who was on the ground covering the data center proposal and the grassroots effort to stop it. Amazon tried to build a massive water-consuming data center out in Arizona. Tucson City Council unanimously killed it. So here's a little on the project from the grassroots movement, No Desert Data Center, which led the coalition against the data center. What is Project Blue? Project Blue is a proposed hyperscale data center adjacent to the Pima County Fairgrounds that is reported to be for Amazon Web Services. So more on the data center, again, 290 acres just north of the Pima County Fairgrounds. The project developer was listed as Beal Infrastructure, and only 180 jobs were projected to be created as a result of the data center. And they note massive water, energy, and infrastructure considerations. So on to water needs. Water positivity claimed after initial 2 years, but massive initial 622 million gallons used, structured to be negative, not positive. They say it's likely to fail. AWS only replaces 53% based on its own estimates. So AWS is Amazon Web Services. And on to more on the data center. They list that there is a broad non-disclosure agreement which stifles democratic oversight. NDAs kept developer and water use secret. The city worked 2 years in secret. The public was left behind. Amazon confirmed only via accidental disclosure, which we'll get to a little bit in a minute. So on to power needs. The data center will require 700 megawatts of power, and the expected demand is not aligned with Tucson's climate goals. It will double output, likely a natural gas plant, and the natural gas plant estimated water usage would be on the low end, 300 million gallons, doubling Project Blue's impact, and on the high end, 1.5 billion gallons, 6 times Project Blue's impact. And TEP is Tucson Electric Power. So again, TEP would be required to double their output. So that might mean putting up a second natural gas plant, which would change the projections for Project Blue's impact as far as water goes. Additionally, this is from a piece from the Arizona Luminario that I'll come back to, but I wanted to read this one piece of. Data centers that use diesel power generators release nitrogen dioxide, which then reacts with other chemicals in the air to form ozone that can be harmful to breathe. While not all data centers use diesel power, many do. Because we could have this one polluter in our county, the collective levels for our county are increased, and that could put us into a new category of risk, she said, which is one of the organizers working against the project, thinking through the unintended consequences of the data center. Ground level ozone from this project could put us over that tipping point, or we would have to do even more regulation, which would be costly to other county businesses that actually serve the people here much better than this data center potentially would. Elena, the name of the organizer, isn't entirely against data centers, but says the secrecy and scale of the project have been cause for alarm. It's the unknowns of those costs that make me a hardline opposition to this project in particular. So that is why the community was so vehemently opposed to this project, at least as far as environmental concerns go. But there was more to this project and why grassroots opposition sprung up so quickly around it. This is again from More Perfect Union. On June 17th, the Pima County Board of Supervisors voted to sell and rezone land for the data center. The so-called Project Blue was immediately marked by a lack of transparency, with the final user hidden and public officials bound by non-disclosure agreements. So again, the community leading the ultimately successful 7-week-long grassroots movement against Amazon did not even know who was building the massive data center until the end of July, when an Arizona outlet, again, the Arizona Luminaria, was able to link Amazon to the project through a document sent to their reporter, John Washington, by a county official, potentially in violation of an NDA held by the city. This is the piece on the document from July 21st. Amazon Web Services is company behind Tucson's Project Blue, according to 2023 county memo. Exclusive records obtained by Arizona Luminaria tie the tech giant to a massive data center that has been shrouded in secrecy until now. The proposed 290-acre complex is one of the largest development projects ever to be considered by the city of Tucson or Pima County. The mysterious company behind the massive Project Blue data center proposed for Tucson is named as Amazon Web Services in a 2023 document about the development obtained through a public records request by Arizona Luminaria. The one-page county document titled Project Profile, Project Blue, says Project Blue is Amazon Web Services under the heading Company Details. The 290-acre data center campus, nearly the size of downtown Tucson, proposed for an area north of Pima County Fairgrounds and west of Houghton Road, is one of the largest development projects ever considered by the city or county. Proponents have cited new jobs and an economic boost as support for the project. Local critics have warned that the project would be a drain on Tucson's water, energy, and environment. They've also raised concerns over public official silence on the company behind the project. Company officials have said they are under non-disclosure agreements that kept them from naming the company. Mayor Regina Romero and other city officials who responded Monday to Arizona Luminaria's questions about the public record naming Amazon Web Services as the company behind the data center said they did not know what company was involved in the project. Again, this was less than a month ago that Amazon was linked to the project, and the community had already been mobilizing against the project before that. And the Arizona Luminaria put out a great piece summarizing their efforts around that time. I won't be able to read all of it here, but I wanted to read a portion of it. This is the same piece that I read a portion from earlier. So here is that piece. Pretty much everyone I've talked to about this thinks it's a terrible idea, said Vivek, one of the organizers with No Desert Data Center and a member of the communications team. The desert is no place for a water-guzzling, energy-draining, heat-generating monster. And the piece goes on under the subheading, you find yourself in a group chat. Vivek and Elena first joined the data center organizing effort in the days and weeks leading up to the Pima County Board of Supervisors vote to sell and rezone land for a 290-acre data center. Outraged after hearing the plan, they soon found themselves in a signal group with others who shared their concerns. You just start talking about something online, and in this day and age, all of a sudden you find yourself responding to people and they're telling you about stuff that's happening, and you find yourself in a group chat, said Elena, a lifelong Tucsonan. She was involved in the Transit for All coalition, but had not done environmental organizing before. The first public engagement with Project Blue was the June 17th Board of Supervisors meeting, the first time Elena had ever attended meetings for that body. For Vivek, it was one of the first few times he had spoken at a public meeting. I am a small business owner here in Tucson, he said at the meeting, and as a small business owner, I'm losing most of my day in income being here to urge you to oppose this plan as it stands. During the meeting, board members heard a presentation promising 180 new jobs, lower electricity costs for all Tucson area customers, despite a proposed 14% rate hike by Tucson Electric Power separate from Project Blue, and that the project would eventually be powered entirely by renewable energy. Promises have been made that, if they are fulfilled, could make this project a model for how to balance economic development and environmental protection, said Supervisor Rex Scott, who voted in favor of the measure, which passed the board with a 3-2 vote. Meanwhile, fueled in part by outrage over the vote, the Signal chat group of people who wanted to oppose the data center continued to grow. Since then, the effort has developed into a central planning group with several working groups. The goal has been educating people ahead of the next milestones, a series of public forums, and the City Council public hearing on the measure, with possible votes set in the fall. Again, this was written was published on July 21st. That became our focus after the Board of Supervisors meeting. Basically, anybody who wanted to join the Signal group could join, said Vivek. Anyone who wants to come to these meetings and wants to contribute and demonstrates a commitment to contribute is welcome. And the piece goes on to say, it's often hard to gauge public opinion, but there seems to be consistent energy and numbers around opposition to the data project. Most of the comment letters to the Pima County Board of Supervisors ahead of their approval of the data center were against the center. Some of those in favor included Tech Parks Arizona, construction advisory firm Ryder Levitt Bucknell, the Southern Arizona Leadership Council, and the Tucson Association of Realtors. The No Data Center Instagram page has more than 1,000 followers, while a change.org petition calling on Tucson City Council Council to oppose Project Blue has 4,814 signatures as of July 17th. And again, this grassroots movement sprung up in a matter of weeks. So here is more from More Perfect Union. Community members, environmentalists, and activists responded quickly. They mobilized their community and helped to inform residents. No desert data centers started holding informal gatherings and public forums, as well as organizing a petition against the center. It paid off. At a city council meeting, hundreds of residents showed up to express their opinions against the data center. Responding to the widespread community outrage, the Tucson City Council voted unanimously against building the center in city limits. And here's video of the vote at the moment where they learned that they had won.
Aye. Mr. Dahl. Mr. Cunningham. Vice Mayor Santa Cruz. Aye. Aye. Item passes.
Okay, so again, that was their city council vote on Wednesday, where they learned that they had won against Amazon to prevent the data center from being built. And I'll end with a statement. No desert data center sent Status Coup about their win on Wednesday. The rejection of Project Blue by Tucson City Council is a huge victory for our desert community and would not have happened without thousands of Tucsonans coming out to vehemently oppose it. We thank the mayor and council for standing strong and not folding to Beal's intimidation tactics and greenwashing propaganda. Tucson made the right decision to halt Amazon's harmful data center in its tracks and protect our water, air, and a livable climate. We will remain vigilant because we know big companies like Amazon, Beal, and TEP have a hard time taking no for an answer, and we are committed to stopping any data center they try to force on us within our watershed. So some rare good news about a grassroots-led movement getting a major win against one of the companies working hard to make working people's lives all the more difficult. If you liked that video, please like, follow, and subscribe to Status Coup News. You can also become a member and support our independent journalism at statuscoup.com/join, and I will see you guys in the next video.